is 1975. You and your friends heard about this new scary movie named Jaws and decided to check it out. The movie starts with a woman going for a swim in the ocean. She runs from the beach straight into the ocean to start swimming. As we cut to the point of view of something underneath the water, observing her, watching her, stalking her. She suddenly starts getting dragged left and right, screaming for her life. She's fighting for her life, but she gets dragged underwater. It turns out that the thing is a giant white shark, terrorizing the small town of Amityville. Throughout the movie, the sharks take on many more lives, and the effects are pretty realistic, especially for this era of movie. Could it be that a shark really hunts like this? Are they really this dangerous? The movie ends with the shark being defeated, and you walk out the cinema relieved. Thankfully, it is just a movie, and it cannot hurt you. Later that day, your friends want to go for a swim. As you arrive to the shore, you see a girl swimming in the ocean, and it gives you a flashback to the beginning of the movie. As you stare into the big, blue abyss, you feel your stomach drop. Your hands start to sweat, your eyes jump left to right to see if there's not a shark trying to eat somebody, and you feel every second go by as if it was an hour. You can feel your heart pounding faster and faster. You need to run, it's not safe here. The sand underneath your feet suddenly feels a lot warmer, and a lot safer. You decide to stay at the shoreline where it's safe. Where friends go for a swim. Days pass and you still can get a movie out of your head. Every time you're near a big body of water, you decide to stay away from it. You're not gonna go on water anymore, even not for that cruise vacation, in case if there's a shark there. It affects you later even more, even in pools. Face it, you're scared of sharks. But why? You know the movie isn't real. The actress that played the girl is still walking around. You know not to be afraid of it, but yet you are. This is... Jaws had a huge impact on the masses. According to the Guinness Book of World Records, it was the first blockbuster movie ever. But it also had a giant impact on how we perceive sharks. It probably even affected you. Let's put it into context. On the left side on the screen, you will see a shark, with its sharp teeth and can smell blood from a mile away, and a coconut. Now you can point at which one you think is the most dangerous. If you are pointed at the coconut, you are right. On average, around 10 people die each year of a shark attack. By coconut, it's around 150. 150! You are 15 times more likely to die of a coconut than of a shark. And you're still thinking by yourself that being afraid of sharks is rational. And to a degree you can be right. If you're swimming in the ocean and you see a shark coming for you, being afraid is definitely the correct response. But are you afraid of other things? Maybe not sharks, but speaking in public? Or dying alone? To understand why we fear it, we have to take a look at what fear is. Fear, according to Wikipedia, is an intense, unpleasant emotion in response to perceiving or recognizing a danger or threat. Fear causes physiological changes that may produce behavioral reactions such as mounting an aggressive response or fleeing the threat. Long story short, fear is an emotion that makes you want to go away from a situation or fight it. But what makes fear rational or irrational? What it basically comes down to is fear activates in a situation where there's danger for you. You are in a life-threatening situation. For example, if a shark's trying to eat you, it's rational. But if you're sitting in a pool and you're afraid of sharks, it's not rational. When is fear really a problem? When it influences your daily life. If you do not go outside because you fear something, then it's really a problem for you. But what are the consequences? Well, you avoid situations. It's possible you get irrational thoughts or fears from it. It is also possible for those with an irrational fear that their fight-flight response still kicks in, even though there's nothing they can see that creates that. So your body starts being in this constant state of fight or flight. Imagine you or someone that has a fear of failing. They might not go to school just because they don't want to do the presentation, or they even drop out of school. What happens when you are scared? You get scared by something, let's say a snake. The signal goes into your brain, it goes to your amygdala. Your amygdala associates that thing with fear, which sends out some stuff that creates your fight, flight, freeze or faint response. And depending from that, You will either fight, flight, freeze, or faint. What can you do to reduce fear? Therapy is an option. For some type of fears, you can also follow workshops. What kind of fears exist? As alluded in the beginning of the video, everyone has some kind of fear, but it can differ from person to person. Some people are afraid of specific phobias. These are specific objects that you are afraid of, such as spiders, snakes. A great example of this is the scene from Harry Potter, in which the boogeyman takes the shape of what they fear. Really got lucky that everyone just had a specific phobia. Nobody feared dying alone or fearing to do a presentation. You have generalized fears, which are fair things for daily life, basically. Things like making money, going to work, those worries also are categorized as a fear. OCD, the best known form from this is the fear of contamination. People want to clean over and over and over and over. You have social phobias, which is the fear of other opinions. Fear of publicly speaking is one of them. According to a study, around 95% of people have a fear of speaking. It's a stomach feeling you have when you have to do a presentation or talk for a large group. Of that 95%, however, they don't have such a fear that they avoid it. But it's a good example to show what people with the fear feel. Imagine that feeling in your stomach 10 times worse. That's what people with fear for publicly speaking have. This is called lalophobia. You have agoraphobia, which is a type of fear that makes you want to escape situations. Things like leaving home, crowds, enclosed spaces, or open areas. Where does fear come from? Some people think that everything that you fear is something that you are born with. And to an extent they are right, but not by everything. Most things that you fear is something because you've learned it along the way. One of the things is classical conditioning. One of the famous experiments done with this is the Little Albert experiment, in which they conditioned a small child to be scared of a rat. Every time they saw a rat, they played a loud noise. They did this over and over, and eventually they didn't need to use the sound for the child to start crying when he saw a rat. The smart one between us did know that this is also something with Pavlov and the dog. Saying those two names should probably ring a bell. You also have dramatic event, which is, if you witness something dramatic, you create a fear from it. Let's say you went on vacation to Australia and you almost got strangled by a snake. You probably don't want to be near a snake for the rest of your life. An interesting story to tell is this one person that got sick every time he smelled an orange. He later in life found his half sister and she told him that as a kid his parents didn't want him. So instead of dropping him at an orphanage, they put him in a crate full of oranges and left it outside. He got hypothermic and he almost died from that. And that dramatic event or trauma made him ill every time he smelled the oranges. If we look at a different angle in psychology, you have evolution. Fear is something created from evolution. Those who feared had a bigger chance of creating offspring and surviving than those who didn't. Those who didn't fear anything are probably dead. Neurologically, if you look inside your brain, you can see that you have two amygdala, one on your left and one on your right side of your brain. This is the thing that creates your acute stress response. That is the thing that sends a signal for your body to either fight it, flight it, freeze, faint. Without it, you wouldn't have your response for fear. And with that, we've come to the end of this video. To quickly summarize what we've learned: irrational fear is an emotion that comes up to avoid situations because you think they are a threat to you, while that's not true. There are millions of different things we can be scared of, and we can be scared of everything. Fear is caused by conditioning or trauma, and the amygdala is the thing that sends the signal to the body. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something new while watching this video, and here are the sources.